Hello, everybody of the internet. This is Fresh as Me TV. This is Alex and Lance.
What's going on, guys? That fresh ass podcast, and this is the return of Alex. He's been gone for a little bit. What was it, 2 weeks? I think.
I don't even know. It feels longer, but I guess it was 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know where all the time goes. Looking back at the channel and everything, we've been here for about. I think it started in February. We didn't start actually producing until April, so we've been doing this for about 5 months. We'll be on September 4th, September 5th.
That's a pretty good time. I was expecting us doing this for maybe 3 months, but
yeah, it was gonna be a fad. We're gonna do a couple of videos, and then it was oh, you know what? Let's go do something else. But we're still here, and we have no intentions on stopping. We actually have a lot more planned going up in the future. I know I filled you in before we started about a few things. One thing I will mention now is we're going to be doing a new, I wouldn't say a new section, but we're going to be putting in the games part and all that, where we're going to do movie reviews. And the first one I believe we're going to be doing is the new It movie.
I think that movie's going to be really interesting. I don't know if it's going to be amazing, but I know it's going to be interesting.
I mean, even if they literally just duct tape and glued the first film and made it nicer, I feel that would still be a good movie. Not that it was so the thing is with what was it, Stephen King that made it, right?
I'm not sure. I think so.
Yeah, I believe it's Stephen King. 'Cause I don't know why every time I think of that, it's oh yeah, Stephen Hawking made that. Then I realized no, I don't think it was him. He can't write.
Yeah, wrong Stephen.
Yeah, I mean it's close. Hawking, King. Yeah, there's a King in both.
Sure. As long as it is better than the Netflix original Deathnote, I have no problem with.
Oh, you watched Deathnote?
No, everyone says it's an awful movie.
Oh, I thought they did it as a show. They did it as a movie?
They did it as a movie.
So, wasn't the show for Deathnote, wasn't 40 episodes or something like that?
It was about 32 episodes.
32, and they were half an hour each, or 20, 30 minutes?
Yeah, about.
So that's 20 hours, no. Yeah, about 15, 20 hours of
literally
time.
Suspense, drama.
Yeah. How do you incorporate that into 2 hours? That's...
Well, there's a main character in Death Note, and the problem is in the live action, he still acts like an anime character.
Really?
He over exaggerates. He'll jump on chairs and pretend to do stuff that's just weird in real life. No one would do such things.
Huh. So it's almost the same thing with musicals. Nobody's just gonna break out in the middle of the bar and just start singing
exactly.
Yeah, I'm so drunk. Yeah, it's just, or I love this part. All those weird musical tones and stuff like that. All those I don't know. I can never. It's like opera.
Opera. That's a weird comparison, but okay.
Well, I mean, I feel that's the exaggerated comparison, because opera is just some dude standing in the middle of the room just screaming his lungs out.
Moving the story with a song, but it's not really happening like that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's just exaggerated, almost probably in that sense. The character exaggerates. All those different things.
Yeah. The one problem is there's the main character, which is Kira, or I think his real name is Light Yagami. Sorry if I'm butchering the name, but in the anime, he's supposed to be this cool, sophisticated guy, and when he first meets this demon or god of death, let's call him, he's actually just pretty chill. He was yeah, I just killed 64 people in the past 5 days or something, and hi. In the live action movie, he's freaking out, he's crying, he goes under a table, and it's not true to character.
Wait, what? The main character?
The main character, comparing from the anime to the real, it's just horrible.
Well, I heard even the way that they started. I mean, if anybody has any interest in watching it, I suggest going forward to a different part of this, because we might spoil it.
I actually have never seen the movie. I've just seen.
Oh, you haven't seen the movie?
I've seen small sections of it.
Oh, the little bits and stuff
like that. And it looks horrible. I can't bring myself to watch it. I'm
curious if they do, because even I heard a lot of people were giving backlash because, how in the anime, the way he finds the book in the schoolyard and everything?
Yeah.
Supposedly that's not how it happens in the movie. It's supposed to be, completely different, which is just, Like, because wasn't it in the anime where, like, it kind of, like, he stumbles upon it, like, it doesn't find him?
No, he honestly, it's just he's literally walking, and he sees a book on the floor, and he goes, "Oh, I'm gonna pick this up," and that's how it starts.
But that's what I'm saying. He
Yeah.
stumbles upon it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. In the movie, I think they do it, like, reverse. Like, the book, like, chooses him,
Oh no,
which is kind of,
that's weird. It's supposed to be the book doesn't choose anyone. It's the person
Yeah.
who wants to do it.
just like he finds the book and he feels like Frodo.
That's I don't know. I just hate that
or
movie.
Anakin. He was the chosen one.
Oh no, he's no chosen one. Actually, a fun thing. If you do you watch the film theory or whatever with Matt Pat?
I don't think so. I hear about it. I haven't. You know, it's the funny thing. Like, I'm on YouTube a lot doing our stuff, but there's not too much of like other videos and stuff I really get to check out.
Well, he does a section called film theory also, and he actually sees under Light Yagami's rule how many people he actually kills, and if it actually significantly helps society or like ruins it. And apparently, Death Note takes in a 5-year span, which I never knew. So yeah, no, I know it's interesting. 5 years of him killing people, and they totaled up the numbers of him and all his colleagues of killing people, and apparently in total he killed 280,000 people.
Oh God.
Yeah, in the span of 5 years.
I mean, that's still not. I mean, that's a lot of people, but that's. I mean, there's what 72 million people, billion people in the world, something like that.
I'm not sure, but
There's a lot of people here.
they did the math. Technically, like with all the game, logic of the anime, whatever they say, 70% of all crimes and stuff just stopped, and apparently, like they did the statistics where like 600,000 people get stabbed or killed randomly in the world,
Yeah.
and 70% of that stops. So technically, that means like only a small section of like 70,000 people get killed every year by him only killing 280,000 people. So he does get results, but in a bad way, and I thought that was like crazy.
I mean, that's kind of interesting, and the one thing that I feel like, you know, my perspective to take in considerations, like, imagine being a criminal, like, while that's going. So, like, you're a criminal and you're watching these criminals die because, you know, some guys kill them. Not that he knows it, but, you know, these people start dying. Then these people start dying. You see all these criminals around you start dying within 5 years. It's like, you know what? I might need to find a new career. Like, maybe this isn't for me. So it's like, I wonder how many of people that would have died, you know, because actually, I don't even think I know how. I don't think I've seen all of Death Note.
he just murders everyone. But there is something interesting. There is a theory that he's killing innocent people
Without knowing it? Or he's doing it purposely?
without knowing it, because since it takes place in Japan, Japan has a 99.8 conviction rating. So if you're in a like courtroom, you're fucked. You're going to jail. There's no way around it.
But then what about if you don't get, like, let's say if you commit a crime and then you don't, like, you do it a good job of hiding the evidence. Then it's like those people you gotta find, but it's just like, okay, now you gotta be like almost like Dexter. You gotta like break into their stuff. You gotta see if they're actually.
Well, in the show, he's actually his father is like a lead detective in a high police like association or something. So he has all the criminal records of gangsters, and he'll just kill them off.
So it's like all these guys in prison are just dying.
Just dead. But the thing is, there are people like there's a theory that he's killing innocent people also. Just
people who like got convicted but they aren't guilty.
Yeah, like false convictions.
Yeah, but that does tend to happen.
But like he's just like, oh, he's in jail, and in Japan, once you're convicted, you're seen guilty already. So
well, it's almost like how the United States is now. You're guilty till proven innocent.
In Japan, that's actually true, though.
Yeah. Well, that's what's the thing. Like, we're here, like, that's how it is when it comes to, like, the media perspective of everything. But then, you know, the courtroom's different. They have to look at it the other way. And it's, like, the weird how they do it, too. It's like, you most of the people in like church and stuff like that, like you have to be like almost like a hermit. It's like, oh, do you know about all this going on? It's like, yeah, I do. It's like, okay, get out of there. You know, we're done. We don't want you.
I don't know, but all I know is OJ was innocent.
Well, that's what they did with that. Have you ever seen? I don't know how accurate it is compared to the actual thing, because you know that was what a year. I think the year that the whole court case finished was the year of your birthday. I believe that was what 93, 92.
I'm not even sure. I don't know anything about the OJ trial. All I know is there's a glove, a knife, and a dead woman. That's all I know.
And then there was another guy too.
Yeah, there's another, which I have no idea about. Like, I think
it was like her. It was like it was her friend's Goldman or something like that. And but like with the show, you know, they talk about how they found the jurors and all that. And one of the things that they're doing, I don't know how accurate it was to the actual story, was they would be like, you know, do you watch TV a lot and stuff like that? And when they were jurors, I think they were allowed to watch like an hour of TV, and it was supervised television. Like the people who ran the court had to stand there and make sure like they watched something that was court approved. And then it was really interesting how like the whole case played out with that, because eventually like they started attacking jurors, getting, you know, people removed in the sense where it was like, oh, this guy did this in the past, we have to remove him. He's you know, he's biased, or for whatever reason that, you know, he would sway his opinion one way. And they were doing that for a while. And then eventually, you know, the whole, the glove didn't fit, must have quit thing happened, which, that was funny. Do you ever see the video of him doing that?
No, I didn't see anything. Honestly, I don't know anything about the OJ case, period.
Like, yeah, there's a video that they show, and it's like he's in the courtroom, and he goes to put the glove on. And he puts, you put a glove on before, like you've worn gloves.
Yeah.
So, you know, you put it and you pull it as much as you can, but like, you know, you almost like kind of like claw it, and then you know, insert your fingers in the, you know, finger appropriate slots.
Yeah.
He did it all weird. He kind of like made his hand all wide and kind of like he didn't normally, like he did it all weird. And he was like, oh, yeah, see, it doesn't fit. And, you know, you could, like, any normal person could tell that that glove didn't fit properly. You know, that he wasn't trying to wear it. You know, like, they should have had somebody try to actually, like, put the glove on him, not him do it himself. Because how accurate is, you know, he's going to make it look like it didn't fit.
Yeah, but there's also on another, if it didn't fit, it didn't fit. But if it did fit, like,
yeah, but there's gloves that I've worn, that I have, that I wear, that if I tried to put them on the way he did, they wouldn't fit on me.
Well, he's a football player. They're not the smartest people.
Well, but I'm just saying, the way that he was able to manipulate people by showing that, because everybody knew it was his glove. You know, when you look at the case, there were so many things that proved that he did it. Granted, he didn't get convicted of it, but you know, I think he had I don't know if he wrote a book or somebody wrote a book, and he actually came out and said that he actually did it, or not that like he flat out said it, but he, you know, he pretty much confirmed that, you know,
he suggested it.
Yeah, like it wasn't playing out in the open, but he, you know, the way that he commented on it was like, oh, this motherfucker.
Well, that would be book deals. I'm down with the money.
I mean, look at what was it, Pablo Escobar's bodyguard. He's making like thousands of dollars being like a vlogger and like explaining like what he did for Escobar and like how he was back then. And like supposedly this dude was known to kill like hundreds of thousands of people. I think he was even I don't think he actually was a part of it, but he was like secondhand involved with like some of the bombings and stuff like that too. Like it was crazy. And like he went to jail. He did his, I think they only gave him like 20 years, 25 years, which is crazy. You know, you killed thousands of people. It's like, yeah, you know, just being there for like 20, 30 years, we'll let you out at some point.
He definitely ratted then. Like,
well, I mean, who was he gonna rat? Everybody was dead. Escobar was dead. The Cali cartel for the most part was taken out, 'cause I don't think they're around anymore. So I'm not too familiar with Cali. I know Escobar, obviously. We all know how that ended up.
Well, I'm thinking, even if there's a lot of people gone, you still have your small sections of group that you're connected to. And you can just be like, oh, this place.
But I mean, like, he was there for Pablo Escobar. Like, he was, like, his go-to guy. And I don't remember. So that's the one thing I don't remember. I don't know who he was name-wise with them. Because, like, you know, in the the show they show all the different people, and the only person I can think of it might have been is Lakika, I think it was.
Kika, that's strange.
Yeah, and like the way they interpret him in the show is like this little skinny Afro kid. It's kind of, I feel like I'm always talking about this show because I mentioned it on the Game of Thrones podcast we did the other day. But that's the only one that I could think of that they did that who they're talking about. 'Cause I can't think else who it would be, especially over 1,000 kills and stuff like that. He's got to be somebody top tier. It's, because supposedly he was there with Escobar till like the pretty much the very end. Because like I said, he vlogs, so he talks about it, and he mentions a couple of things back then. I mean, imagine that being like a professional killer, and then like a couple of decades later, it's like you're an internet sensation vlogger and all that, and like people in Colombia like actually like him and respect him. It's like I wonder if it's like an intimidation thing or if it's like they actually like him.
Well, there's a thing. Pablo Escobar wasn't okay. He wasn't a horrible person. The things he did, but there are small towns and small select places that he actually protected, and those are the reason why. That's why there's a few towns in Mexico that just are in love with him. Because if anything ever happened, his people were there to protect them.
Yeah.
And he would also build schools, churches. So yes, he was helping out, but was it like, does it counter the things he was doing?
Well, you know what the thing to me is pretty interesting with it is that how when you look at him, he tried to be he was actually elected to Congress in Colombia, like he was an official. And he ended up getting removed because I believe it was because of a mugshot. They exposed him like, dude, you're a drug dealer, you're a trafficker, like you can't be here. And it wasn't until like after he got removed from the office and everything that he started to become this like monster, bombing people, killing all these people. It makes you wonder, like if he didn't. Like, if he stayed in office, not saying, I don't think he should have ever been president or anything where he's, like, controlling the country, because at that point, you got a narco state. And it's, like, it's too dangerous at that point. But it's, like, if he stayed just as, like, an official and stuff like that, like, I wonder how everything would have played out. Like, would it have been less violent? Would have more people been able to stay alive? Would have the bombing still have occurred? There's so many different questions that, it's definitely an interesting thing to look at.
I would have to say I'm happy he's not in Congress. I'm happy he didn't take a leadership role, just for the fact that honestly, everyone's gonna take care of themselves first. That's number one. So if anything, it's just gonna be like, oh, my gangsters can't like pillage this town. Let me just write some legislations. Now I own this town.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he pretty much owned most of the place anyway, because like you said before, he would take care of the poor. He would feed them. He would provide schools and all these different activities for the people. All the soccer and stuff. Even down to like giving kids shoes. That was a big problem out there. And just to see how he did everything. Once he started doing all the bombings is when the people, then they felt threatened. They thought that, they were next, that they were going to be attacked. It was like either you helped him or you died.
Yeah.
In the beginning, they never really thought that. They were just like, okay, if you were like a rival narco, like that, then that was why you were his enemy. If you were just an average, citizen, you were fine. You had nothing to worry about unless it was like there's something you wanted from him. Then it was like they would intimidate you to do that. I don't think that, there's had been thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people that liked him at that point. People that he was probably interrogating and killing and all that. Not saying it was right, but I imagine it was a very small percent of people that were there.
Well, the thing is, people really didn't see that side of him. Well, because there's like many stories of him actually just going into a restaurant and like it just being dead silent. Like when he walks in, no one would talk, and he'll get a seat, and everyone's freaking out, and he'll literally just go up and be like, "Oh, everything's okay, everybody. I'm paying everyone's bill. I'm just here to have lunch." He'll have his meal and his leave, and pay for everyone's meal at that moment there. So they saw him as, well, in select towns, like, oh, he's a pretty nice guy, but they don't know the full story of him, and that's the that's the dangerous part, not knowing the full story of them.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, especially, I imagine that was before he, like, when he was in office and stuff like that.
No, that was
That
when
was
he
after?
that was before he went into hiding, I believe.
Which time? He did it like like the last final stand, like that hiding point?
Yeah, no, he did that through his life's career because he had so much money.
Yeah.
So the a good way to, like, I guess in his mind, to hide, because no one's gonna rat him out. Just be like, oh, be nice, pay for everyone's meal, and somehow it worked. No one ratted out on him, which is strange. Just be like, I'm a nice, kind guy. I do murder people at sometimes, but.
Well, I mean, I imagine that was probably before the last bombing, because once the last bombing happened, everybody turned on him. That's when he literally had to, like, he couldn't do anything. Because, I mean, the last bombing was it wasn't that long. Actually, bombing happened. It wasn't that long after that when they actually found him and they killed him and the other dude he was with. Like, that was the thing. There was only like 2 people that lasted at the end. There wasn't that many people. Because they were catching, it was either they were catching you or they were flat out killing you. Like, they were done. They did not tolerate any of that. They wanted it all gone. But, looking at all that makes you wonder how lucky we are here to be blessed with our first world problems.
Oh, don't even. My first world problem is I can go on for an entire whole podcast on my first world problems.
I'm sure you could.
I can. The thing is, I'm just gonna go just really small into this. I'm young. I recently quit my job, but I can't find another job, so that kind of sucks.
First world problems.
Yeah, like it's just awful. The housing market is bad. I can't get a loan. It's just bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how, like, you look at, going over back into Colombia, how, like, there's people, it's like, oh, I can't have shoes, I can't find food. It's like, for us, it's like, I can't find this flavor of Gatorade for me. I'm not happy. My problems, it's just, like, we make such a big deal out of very little things. It's like, for instance, so somebody with, like, a nice pair of shoes, and it's like somebody steps on it, it's like, oh, my Jordans. It's like, dude.
No,
like, people are lucky to have things on their feet at some point. Like, I used to be, like, a big sneakerhead at one point. Well, I would say big, but I used to, like, I like to collect a good amount of pairs. Now I couldn't care at all. I don't. I think I have, like, 3 pairs.
I think the most thing I like, the thing I baby rage about, because that's what it is usually, just baby rage. So it's just, if the Wi-Fi goes out. Literally, if the Wi-Fi goes out, my whole world, it just goes black because there's nothing I can do.
Well, I mean, everything's connected to the internet now. It's like you can't do anything without it.
Yeah.
I mean, even with, like, every, when it comes to, like, a gaming sense, like PlayStation, Xbox, it's like there's not that many games you could play without being connected to the internet, that are actually good. 'Cause most of them are server-based. I mean, you look at games like Destiny or Division or For Honor, all those multiplayer-based games. It's like, the Wi-Fi goes out, you don't have a game.
Yeah, your
First world problems.
No, but it's just awful. If the Wi-Fi's out, my world literally goes black, and then there's, I have to say it is AC or heat. AC
yeah,
heat.
That's a big first world problem, especially like in the summer. It's like air conditioning is like a necessity, but like you tell somebody that in like like a very poor country or something like that, they'll probably be like, dude, I'm just lucky I have water.
Oh no, and I've actually been there. Like I've been to, like, this little shack of a house place. Like,
where at?
Like in Dominican Republic. I've actually stayed in this little shack place. Like, people are like, yeah, like, you have a roof. My roof is made out of, like, random sheet metal. Like,
yeah.
It's like literally there's, like, you can look outside if you go to the high enough of the roof. Like
oh, like it has that little crease between the roof and, like, the wall?
No. You wish that happened. Like, it's literally slabs of metal that they just piled together to make a roof.
It's almost like how they do, like, the favelas and all that. They do, like, just where it's, like, curved so where, like, the water runs off. Not even that? You think... They don't even get crafty with it and at least give it some curves?
It does have curves, but it's, like, half-circle curves. and it's just and like that, and some of that is just
Well, that's
like,
what I'm saying. It has the cuts in it though.
but it's literally, but all of them isn't like that. It's just slabs of metal. Yeah, 'cause
How do they? What do they like?
the house
nail
is
them?
completely slanted though. Like,
But like, what do they like? Nail it to the roof? Like, how do they put it up there?
I think it's just so heavy, it just doesn't blow off.
But
And-
it's slanted though. It wouldn't slide or anything like that, especially if it's curved.
I guess they connected to the concrete somehow.
They glue it, some duct tape.
But the house is just made out of concrete. I remember, like, having hot water meant you were rich.
Really?
Yeah, like literally, I was taking cold showers, and you know what? They said that was a blessing, and I was
Huh.
just like, damn.
Wow, really? Wait, even cold showers were a blessing?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, my favorite part. They have a schedule for electricity.
What?
Yeah, yeah. So they'll be like, okay, so you have electricity Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday. And it'll just be like, yeah. But one of those days would only be like, you only get 5 hours worth of electricity. And then the other
So
days.
they like ration the electricity?
Yeah. Well, everyone there has like solar panel or something like that.
Yeah.
But to have that, literally, we went to go pay for my grandmother to have one of those, and she just didn't turn it on
Yeah.
because she felt so bad that she's the only one with electricity in the whole town.
Oh God.
And literally, this town is, and I've counted it, 5 blocks wide and about 13 to 15 blocks long.
That's like very narrow for a town.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
And it's honestly like the things I can bitch about first world problems because I suffered real problems for like 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it was interesting. Like, I went to Puerto Rico. I mean, I think it's a little bit better now since when I was there. But like, I wasn't in the nicest area. Like where my aunt lived, the immediate area was nice. But like, if you went, I think it was like 5 minutes south, you went into like that hood part of Puerto Rico because it was like in the northwestern part of the island. Because it wasn't was it San Juan? That's the east side.
I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yeah, I believe San Juan's the east side, but we were on the opposite, so it was like, you know, it was a couple ghettos and stuff like that, and you even saw like storefronts. Even during the day, they had the fences for the stores down in the front. I mean, there was some where you could actually see bullet holes on the fences, like, you know, people were actually shooting each other on the blocks and stuff like that. Like, I imagine it wasn't like that bad, but you know, because it's not that big of a place to begin with. But you know, it's kind of interesting to see how, you know, you step outside, you know, unless you talk about like a really bad place in the States, like, you know, maybe Detroit or like Brooklyn before it started getting gentrified and everything. You know, comparing that to like outside ghettos and stuff like that, they're just so much worse. They're terrifying because it's just like, yeah, it's dangerous here, but it's like you can always be in your house playing Xbox and not, you can kind of isolate yourself. Out there, you can't really do that. You know, security part of it, you know, it's it's completely different when it comes to like a different country.
Well, no, and I have stories about like just like things I've heard about the news and stories in. So like when I was younger, Dominican Republic was like where in my mind I could always think of it. Oh, it's a nice place, but there were stories of like, this entire family was murdered at a stop sign, and you just like, and apparently that's a regular thing.
Really?
So the thing is, I always say there's really no rules in driving in the Dominican Republic because of things like that. So
Well, I remember you telling me that because you were just like, yeah, you don't stop at the stop signs, you just drive through.
yeah, stop signs are like yields, and red lights are brief stop signs, just so you don't hit another car, and then you just go. But yeah, there's because the thing is, buying a gun or like getting a gun illegally is not that hard.
I imagine. I mean, you know, it was funny in Puerto Rico. They were saying that I don't know if it still applies now, but they were in such a ration when it came to like guns and ammunition that they're telling the police officers, don't shoot unless you absolutely have to. Like, the dude needs to be starting the fire. Like, even if he draws his gun, he needs to, you know what I mean? Like, it was very, I don't know how it was detailed, but it was like very minimal scenarios that they could actually use ammunition.
Wow.
But imagine being in that, actually be told, like, yeah, don't shoot your gun unless you absolutely have to, which you could be like, okay, that's standard. But it's like, when you actually look at the way that they classified it, it's like, dude, it's like, you're asking your officers to take one in the knee or something like that. Like, it was almost a little dangerous at that point.
No, my family actually owns like an entire block of like this place in the Dominican Republic, and there's this elderly old man. He's the nicest little guy I ever known. He just says hi, but when he goes to the grocery store, he has a 12 gauge shotgun on his back. Just chilling.
That's a badass right there.
Just chilling. He's like, right now he should be like 80 years old, but he does the same thing. Like, and the thing is, it's just like, it's weird. The thing is, we normally see like, oh yeah, he has a handgun. He has this. Literally, everyone in the Dominican Republic is like, yeah, he has an Uzi. He has like an AR-15. This guy has literally the police officers in the Dominican Republic walk around with M16s.
Really?
Like,
just a standard police officer?
Yeah, like if you start something, they're finishing it.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts, and you have no rights.
Like, you tell them about how we want to take away assault rifles here, they probably just chuckle. Like, what? No.
No, everyone has a weapon down there. Well, everyone in the middle class at least has a weapon.
You know what's interesting with, it sucks with everything that happened to Harvey. Prayers going out to everybody down there. Hopefully everybody's safe. Mm-hmm. Did you see, like, when it comes to, like, looters and stuff, what they're doing down there?
Oh, one thing I really don't like is there's a difference between looting and scavenging for food. There's a big difference.
Well, I mean, but when you say you're scavenging for food and you walk out of that place with a nice big LCD TV,
then that's looting.
It's like, dude, you can't eat that. Like, I'll pay you money if you can actually eat that.
No, but I mean, like, no, there's actual cases that people are breaking into supermarkets, and people are calling them looters, and it's just like there's an actual decree. And like in Texas, where it's just like in certain circumstances, that's okay.
Yeah. Well, it's
necessary evil.
Well, I think the way that, because it's almost like let's say you're in like the middle of the woods and it's like really cold, and it's like you're gonna freeze to death, and you break into somebody's house and you sleep there, or like you use like a fireplace there, and you get caught and arrested. That's I forgot how they actually consider it. But there's a certain term where it's like it was necessary to live, like to sustain life. So it was like you needed to do that. So almost like in the same sense, like what's the word? Like self-defense in the same sense. It applies to that. And so I mean, if they're taking food and stuff, that's one thing. But, if they're taking, like, things that aren't food or, like, clothing or something like that, then it's like,
well,
you shouldn't be
clothing's another thing. I accept clothing. I accept food.
Well, it depends on the clothing, though. Like, if you're trying to get, like if you walk out with, like a Gucci, like...
Okay, that's a bit ridiculous.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're breaking into a Gucci store for clothing, it's like, dude, you're going because you want the value. Who are you trying to fool?
The one problem is I have to be like... It's the double standards. The thing is, you kind of have to accept it.
I feel like there's a gray area with it.
They're like, I'll be like, okay, he took a Gucci, but it's clothes. He needs it, and he doesn't want to be in what clothes.
Yeah, but what if there's like a Target right next door?
Oh, Target is the first thing to get looted. Target,
no, but I'm saying though, let's say there's two stores that are locked, like none has been broken into. I bet you there's a guy that would go into that Gucci store before that Target store. Because he would be like, okay, I'll have this clothes now. But when I'm set, I'll sell it and I'll get the money for it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people do. You could sell like secondhand stuff and still make a good penny off of it.
Yeah, you can make a good money. But the thing is, right now, they're just worried about food, water, and shelter.
Some people. I mean, dude, I just saw a video of this one guy down there. I forgot where it was. It was trending all over Facebook. He comes out with like a rubber ducky floaty, and he's like the street flooded. Like there's easily like probably like 2-3 feet of water at this point. So it might have been a little bit earlier on, but he's like floating around with the ducky in the middle of the street. Like, for a bad situation, he was, making light of it. Then he comes out later on with a plunger, and he goes to like the drains in the street, and he starts plunging the drain. He goes to the neighbors, "Don't worry, it'll be fixed in about 5 minutes. Don't worry about that."
Oh god.
But it's people like that that's like, at least they're making light of a bad situation as much as they can, because it's like, it's gonna suck. So almost like taking the good with the bad.
Actually, something I found really interesting is in like the highways, they actually found a shark.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was pretty interesting. Like, imagine seeing that.
No, you're like literally just chilling, and there's a shark just ready. It's ridiculous. Your house is right there. Your house is not that far from the highway.
Did you see the meme with it?
No.
Where
the DLC?
Yeah, the DLC. That thing was so funny when I saw it. I was, because both of us obviously know with this. The first thing I saw with that was just like, oh, I guarantee that dude plays Ark. Especially with their new thing they released. But it's crazy what's going on down there. Especially going back to the looters, how there was actually people outside stores and stuff with guns, and they were just like, "Yo, you go in there, I'm gonna shoot you." Like, I'm not even gonna think twice about it. So it's like, again, it's a very big gray area with that, with what's going on down there.
I feel like they do have a right to protect their stuff. Like, let's say it's like Sleepy's. Like, yeah, he's defending his stuff, but shouldn't he have insurance just in case like that BS happens?
Yeah, but insurance is very tricky with that. Cause even with like up here with Sandy, it's like, yeah, you can have flood insurance, but you don't got hurricane insurance or whatever it was. Because a lot of people didn't get money because they were just like, yeah, you're covered for this, but that's not what this was.
No, but what's it called? For an act of God, don't they pay like double or triple?
No, that's the thing. You have to clarify which one you cover for. Like, for instance, you gotta have I believe it's like tornado coverage is one. You gotta have like, I think in Florida they have hurricane coverage. I don't know if they have hurricane coverage at West. I mean, I imagine they do, but I don't think anybody would have it. But even then, I don't know. It's very, like, I'm not too familiar when it comes to like house insurance and like homeowners insurance and all that. When I did it, it was like health and life and all that. But
Interesting. I have life insurance.
yeah, so do I.
No, like I had life insurance for a brief time while I was working, which is strange.
Oh, it was through the
it was
job?
through work. Yeah, and like apparently, if I died at my job taking care of kids, my family would get $2,000. Right? You thought it was gonna be like some big. No, if I got like a pencil to the jugular, I'm sorry for your condolences. Here's $2,000.
This kid just bite you and gave you rabies. Here, take $2,000. It'll be all right.
Yeah, $2,000. I'm just like, wow.
I mean, they were kind of stingy to begin with, so that doesn't surprise me now that I think about it.
Yes, I literally didn't know. They gave me an email or something, and they were just like, oh yeah, if you want to transfer this life insurance to something else. I'm just like it got me annoyed.
Yeah.
Because I was there for almost a year, and I've got bitten, cut, not stabbed, but it was just a horrible experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about that in one of the earlier podcasts. I remember we talked about the one kid with the feces.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just rather stay away from that topic.
Let me ask you this before we end this. Now, and I know you said that you're looking for like more work and stuff like that. If they were like, yo, we'll pay you double or like time and a half of what you normally make, would you take it?
Yeah. I would. Time and a half, I would be... Well, if I got paid double, I would be really happy. Because the thing is...
Well, yeah, that would be a lot. That would be a nice penny.
Actually, like, if I was getting paid double, I would be able to actually live in New York. And that's saying something. But...
Oh, yeah, that's good. I didn't even ever look. Yeah, New York, living in New York is so expensive.
So I actually did the math with with a friend. And if I got the salary I was getting from my previous job,
You could have lived somewhere else. Yeah.
and I did my area over here. Apparently, in our area, I would able to afford a like studio, like but not a good studio, like a roach infested, like
Yeah.
horrible, like
Like a
that.
little box.
Yeah, or like I can live in the like in a really bad ghetto where I can probably get like attacked, and then we did different states, and I saw in North Carolina that apparently if I took that salary, I could have I could either have my own house or I could have a special condo that has a gym, a pool, and everything I would ever need.
Yeah, it's like a co-op.
And it's just the
Yeah, but I mean,
living standards.
but then also like the pay scale for something down there is also a little bit lower.
Honestly, I can get a better job down there than up here.
Well, that could I imagine like the demand for down there is a lot more than up here because if you have a good amount of people going for what you went for, there's going to be a lot of people in that field. I mean, almost like with how engineering is now, it's in demand, but everybody's doing it now. I mean, not that it's not going to still be in demand, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of people engineering-wise that struggle because that happens a lot with people that go to college that like they'll get their degree, and then they'll do something that's not even has nothing to do with their degree. And, it kind of sucks because it's like then you have like student debt and all that. It becomes a hassle, in the long run with all that. It's very rare you find somebody that actually gets a job, based on what they're going to school for. I mean, you've kind of been able to do that. I mean, I know that's not exactly what you went to school for, but it's kind of like the foot in the door.
No, honestly, my degree is actually just as useful as toilet paper, and that is being so. If you have a
I mean,
psychology
toilet paper is
degree,
pretty useful. I don't know about you.
but I mean like in the workforce.
I think that's still pretty useful.
No, it's just like so. It's literally I have a bachelor's in psychology, and the jobs they recommend me is just like, oh, you can work at Burger King, McDonald's. Literally, you need to have higher education just to
What, like a master's?
in psychology. A minimum is a master's. Like you're
Yeah,
making.
oh yeah, because then after master's, then you get what, PhD?
Actually, after a master's, a lot of people just go, "Oh, I'm gonna get certified and this and that."
But isn't like the PhD like a little bit higher than being certified though?
Yeah,
You just get to put those letters next to your name.
if you have a PhD, the difference is how much time do you want to spend in school? Because technically,
But I'm sorry to cut you off, but doesn't that also affect the pay scale too when it comes to
yeah, but also you also have to think the 2 year like master's program is a lot cheaper, where in the like let's say the PhD or the PsyD, you would have to pay I believe like $50,000 minimum every year, and then do that for 6 years.
wow, that's then they're imagine the debt from that, how much
Yeah,
you got to pay off.
and then the debt, and you'll be paying that off for a year. Wherein you work for 2 years, and maybe in the lifetime, the side D will be making more money, but the big difference isn't that much. It's when you start working is when you start making the money. Because by the time you hit 6 years, you'll be still making slightly more than the person who's just
Really,
got out of
because
school.
you have the in-work experience and all
Yeah,
that.
and you already have like all the certificates and certifications you ever need in
Yeah.
those 6 years.
I know, going back to the whole New York being so expensive, I mean, the first thing I think about that is how we, as a channel, we struggle with trying to even get a studio set up.
Yeah, like we don't have anything.
Yeah. Well, we're in the mix of trying to figure that out. I know we obviously, we're doing something right if we're able to record them now, but I think it's somewhat in the near future we'll definitely have a nice setup. We definitely want to get some video because I know you guys on YouTube are tired of us, just looking at a screen and just hearing people talk. You'd like to see something to stimulate your mind.
Yeah. Well, the dream I have is just being able to afford a house, or not even a house, a decent apartment,
Yeah.
and just like be able to do the stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, even if I had something like this, like I'd be happy.
But something like this is expensive.
Not really. I mean, from a New York standard, it's not that expensive. I mean, it's a little.
It's pretty expensive.
I mean, it also depends on the location too.
The
'Cause, like,
location
this,
is what.
Cause that's. I mean, if you look at this, there's the railroad right over there. You
Yeah.
got Bella up there. It's just like a location
It's
for
an
this.
easy transport into the city.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Any place that is close to transportation is always going to be more. It's always going to be like that. It's never going to change. Because that's one of the reasons why New York is so expensive is because it's the convenience. Yeah, you can go to Pennsylvania and get something half the price, but you know what? If you want pizza, you're driving 30 miles or 15 miles or whatever.
No, honestly, I said this to my girlfriend, and I said this to my southern friends. I can't live down there because I don't have Uber Eats.
They don't have Uber Eats down there?
No, I was in.
I thought that was nationwide. Or actually, no, they only
No.
do that in, I think they do it like California, New York, Florida. I think Colorado is one of them they might do it.
It's they start off in a big city and then they slowly branch out.
Yeah, well, I know California and New York are like the two biggest ones because, it's such a dense population. How can you go wrong with that?
Yeah, and it reached us not that long ago, and it's been nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use it when it comes to eating wise. I usually use Grubhub or something like that.
Oh no,
I don't like Uber Eats. You know what? Because they overcharge.
They do overcharge, but I have the honestly, I'm starting to get this bad rep with this one Uber guy. He's been to my house like 3 times, and I'm struggling. I ain't got that money, so I
Was he
haven't
hassling you with the tip?
I haven't tipped him those 3 times he came to my house, and he knows, and I'm just like I'm broke. But which is very
but to him, it's like, yeah, you broke, but you know what? This food you paid for, so I know you got a couple of extra bucks.
The worst thing is it's very hypocritical, because to get Uber Eats you need to pay $5 just for the delivery fee.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, that delivery fee is what kills me. If I didn't have to pay for the delivery fee, you'd be getting a decent
You know
tip.
what's interesting with the delivery fee though, because it's I think it's $3.20 goes to Uber, and then $2.80 goes to the driver. And that's start. Then you get paid per mile after that. So it's I can understand why the driver get angry because I've done it for a little while. And, it's just, especially being a driver and you go up to somebody's door and you give them. And it's just I've actually been lucky. Majority of the people who, when I was doing it, they actually did tip me, which was a very, I remember the first time I did it, the dude gave me a $5 tip. And I was just I had to look back did I do an Uber delivery? Did I do somebody else's? Something's not right here.
Oh no, I must have horrible reviews on Uber because I think I've only tipped 2 people.
Well, can't you? You can look at your rating.
How do you look at your own rating?
I'm not sure when it comes to the regular thing. I know with the driver, you can look at the people you deliver to can rate you, and then also you can rate the restaurants based on how they do.
All I know is I must have a horrible rating. It's slowly taking longer and longer for my deliveries to come.
You're gonna have a whole subthread of just drivers being yo, this guy doesn't tip, don't bother.
It's honestly, I wouldn't be mad. I did this to myself because I'm broke.
All I know is that if I see a McDonald's delivery on mine, I cut it off. I take it off because I know who's a good chance it's gonna be. It's gonna be you.
No, honestly, I don't order from McDonald's, which is weird.
Well, I know you used to for a little while though. You did you did once or twice.
I did it once.
Cause I remember you did it once, and you're yo, tell me if you get the thing. Remember? Cause that was when I was still doing the driving.
And I told you up front you weren't getting tipped.
Well, that's why I was just yeah, I'll get it, but I'm cancel it. I'm bringing you food. But I think that wraps up this podcast. We've been here for almost an hour, a little less than that. But how does it feel to be back?
It feels honestly refreshing. I like the big craziness of the city. When I was in North Carolina, there was just quietness, the ocean and quiet, and I was just no one's getting murdered here. This is not comfortable.
I mean, down there, like, it's a good getaway. Like, I always like going outside the city and doing stuff, but it's just like eventually I need to be back here. But then it's like you get claustrophobic being here. It's like, okay, I want to go back out. Like, it's I don't know, it's a little weird. But yeah. On that note, give us a like and subscribe. Comment what you think about this podcast, and what you might want to hear us talk about next. And be sure to check out. I believe we're doing a couple of podcasts next week, so there'll be another that Fresh Ass podcast next week. And like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. Do it.
Do it.
On that note, I'm Lance.
And this is Alex.
Thanks for listening.